Are you looking for a way to make co parenting easier? Talking Parents can help you streamline your shared parenting responsibilities and minimize conflict by keeping all interactions organized and documented. With Talking Parents, you can stop worrying about the he said, she said and focus on what matters most: your children. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store and start a 30-day free trial today. Hello, hello. I have been talking to so many clients recently about clarifying their decisions, and there is a tendency that I've noticed in many clients. And so today I'm going to talk about clarifying your decisions with a powerful tool. Most people who come to me, whether they're trying to decide whether to mend or end their marriage, keep the marital home, negotiate something that they know is going to be upsetting to their soon to be ex, there is this sense that I'm confused. I'm confused and I don't have clarity around my decision. And what I've noticed is it's less about confusion and more about fear. And so today is about making decisions from one of two vantage points. So we're going to simplify every decision to: are you making a fear-based decision or are you making a desire-based decision? And so, as a foundation to this conversation, a fear-based decision is: I am not going to do that thing for fear of retaliation. I am not going to leave my marriage for fear of harming the kids, upsetting my spouse. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't give it enough time. I'm coming from this place of fear. I'm afraid to make the wrong decision, which is totally understandable, especially with that particular decision. And the opposite is desire. So let's take a couple of examples. With the mend or end, people always feel that they're confused, and some people are absolutely confused. There's a lot of gray, but the vast majority of people who I've had this should I mend or should I end conversation with often are confused and indecisive because of their fear. And when you make a fear-based decision, you typically make a decision that feels safe in the moment. So I'm not going to leave my marriage. I'm going to stay. And that decision feels safe and good in the moment, but fear-based decisions tend to blow up on us in the long term. Desire-based decisions, on the other hand, tend to feel really scary when we're making them. They require leaps of faith. They require us to trust in something we don't necessarily know. We can't see that uncertainty. And desire-based decisions tend to work out really well in the long run, but be really scary and hard in the immediate decision making. And so let's run through a couple of different scenarios. Should I mend or should I end? One of the things I say to people in this stage is, let's just put you in a bubble. Let's say, for the sake of minimizing your fear, that you're in this protective bubble and anything you decide to do is not going to harm you or your children. Now, what's the decision that you're going to make? And when you're able to take the fear away, what happens is a conversation unfolds about all of the difficulties, the last time you felt loved, the possibility of healthiness on the other side of this. There's still a lot of fear, but when you've put yourself in that bubble, you can be a little bit more clear that if nothing negative was going to happen to me and my kids, I would definitely leave. Like, I get a lot of that or something of that flavor. Whereas when the fear is front and center, especially if you've been in a contentious or high conflict marriage, that you could just be stopped in your tracks and paralyzed about that decision. So let's take another one. Let's take the marital home, for instance. A lot of people I speak to, especially the stay-at-home parent, want to keep the marital home. And so we want to look at, is that a fear-based or a desire-based decision? How could that be a fear-based decision? I often will hear, if I don't get the house and they get the house, then the kids will just naturally see more of them. If I lose the house, I'm losing everything else. I'm going to lose the memories. I'm going to lose like my greatest foundation. I'll lose the memories of it. And so the fear is about what I'm going to lose if I let go of the house. The desire-based decision might be, let's say, let and of course, let's keep in mind you might not be able to afford the house. And a lot of times people make these decisions not based on the finances. And so that's a piece of this. So let's say you keep the house. Can you afford the house? And that would be another piece of that conversation. But let's go to the other side of it. Let's just put yourself in a bubble. And whether you keep the marital home or not, or if your soon to be ex takes it, can you still have memories? Can you still create a home that your children would want to come and visit? Can you still do all of those things? And what would be the desire? What is the possibility and opportunity in letting go of the good and bad memories too of the marital home? And a lot of times, what I have clients do to help them step out of their fears, just go out and look, go out and go apartment shopping or house shopping, just as if you knew that this is what you were going to do, and see what it looks like. See if everything feels dreadful and tiny and wrong. Or if you start walking into places and think, well, it's smaller, it's easier to handle. Oh my goodness, it's sunnier. I really like that there's a park down the block. Like, really give yourself the opportunity to experience both. And at the end of the day, what you want to do is ask, is this fear based or desire based? And we'll take another one. Let's say you want to advocate for yourself. So you're advocating in your negotiation. Maybe you're advocating for, let's say you're the primary earner and you're advocating for 50-50 custody. Now you're an executive, you have meetings that go into the evening, you do some travel. And the fear is, if I advocate for anything less than 50-50, I'm not going to look like an all in parent. And the other parent is going to create a narrative about me, and they may even start alienating the kids from me. This is all very fear based. And so then we look at, what is your relationship with your children? Oh, it's rock solid. And what would be the difference if you had 60-40, but you were all in and there during that 40%? And what happens if you want 50-50, and that may be what you want? How does that impact your job? And so let's look at desire. If we put you in a bubble and nothing bad could happen, do you desire to change your position and be available more? Or do you really love what you do and you desire really quality time with the kids, but in a way that is going to work for you? When you decide, for instance, that you're going to buy the marital home, when in fact it might not be the best thing, it's going to feel good at first and then over the course of time bad. When you decide that you're going to go for the 50-50, when in fact it's really going to create more stress and complications with your work schedule and your responsibilities, it feels good in the short term, it blows up in the long term. The desire-based decisions, the concept in general is just such a new angle to look at each decision you're making and get really clear. What do I desire? And how scary is it for me to go with what I desire? So someone else might say, I'm going to advocate for more custody because I think the other parent is not healthy enough, not present enough, but I'm not going to do it. I'm afraid to do it because they're going to say I'm selfish and say I'm a bad parent and all of these things. So your desire is to do what's best for your kids, but you're actually about to make a fear-based decision because it's more comfortable to not go toe to toe with a contentious spouse. And in this case, the desire-based decision, I'm going to go toe to toe now so that I have the protections and the connection with my children in the long run, makes so much sense. And so just to clarify this again, If I'm making a fear-based decision, it's easier to make in the immediate moment, and the ramifications of it in the long term can really be difficult. Your kids may not be the only ones taking tests this year. SoberLink is the number one alcohol monitoring device on the market for parents who need to prove their sobriety. Here's how it works. Your co-parent will test at scheduled times each day. Built-in facial recognition confirms their identity. Tamper sensors flag any attempts to cheat. And results get sent instantly to your phone. So you know your kids are with a sober parent, whether it's during school nights or weekends away. Set your family up for success this school year. Visit soberlink.com/JBD to learn more and get $50 off your device. Are you looking for a way to make co-parenting easier? Talking Parents can help you streamline your shared parenting responsibilities and minimize conflict by keeping all interactions organized and documented. With Talking Parents, you can stop worrying about the he said, she said, and focus on what matters most, your children. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store and start a 30-day free trial today. So let me summarize this. When you're making a decision, you want to look at, what am I afraid of? If I make a fear-based decision, if I make a decision based on what I'm afraid of, does that feel easier right now, right? That's part of the sign that it's a fear-based decision. And could there be negative ramifications down the road? On the other hand, what decision am I making where I really desire to make this decision, and that scares the heck out of me? That means I'm going to look bad to somebody, or I'm going toe to toe with a big personality, or I may be judged by certain people. So the desire-based decision can feel really scary in the short term. It could feel like taking a leap of faith, like stepping into the unknown. And if I make that decision, what's the likelihood of how it's going to unfold? And I have seen over and over again that even in telling the children has been one where I talk to parents about, if it's a very high conflict situation and your spouse is going to catastrophize, throw you under the bus, make it overwhelming and upsetting for the children, you have a decision to make whether you tell them alone or tell them together. And I have a lot of people who initially decided to tell them together and then would call me up and go, yeah, I've got tire tracks from being thrown under the bus, or I have a lot of work to do now to help the children feel not so anxious and afraid. And on the other hand, I've had clients who felt like, there is no way I can tell them alone. Do you realize the things that my spouse is going to say about me? And as we go through it, they've taken that leap of faith. They've gone with their desire-based decision to tell the children, to wrap it in love and safety and security. You don't have anything to worry about. And then when the other parent did exactly what they thought, which was catastrophize and to assassinate the other parent, or even inappropriately pry and lean on the children, those children at least had a solid foundation because the parent was courageous enough to make the desire-based decision. So in divorce, there's hundreds of decisions to make. Many of them are very complex. And if you're emerging from a relationship where there's been a power imbalance and you're negotiating with that person, it would make sense that fear would play a big role in the decisions that you make. And it would make sense that your traumatized self wants to avoid more trauma, and you could find yourself leaning toward those fear-based decisions. And so I really want to invite you to explore the desire-based decision. If there was no danger, if nothing negative would happen, what would I want to do and why? And begin to look at that so that you can make the very best decisions for yourself and for your children going forward. If this resonates with you and you're thinking, gosh, I have something I would really love to talk through and see if some coaching as I'm making these decisions would be helpful, I encourage you to reach out to rapidreliefcall.com, book a call specifically with me, and let's see if we can give you both an experience of divorce coaching and how it can help you and help you get really clear on whatever that decision is that you're currently facing. So I look forward to seeing you on my calendar. I hope that you found value in this topic, and I will be back again soon with another podcast episode. You take care. Thanks for joining us on the Journey Beyond Divorce podcast. I hope you found guidance and encouragement to help you along your journey. If you like my podcast, please take a minute to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. You can also visit us at jbddivorcesupport.com, where our team of coaches support both men and women through our one-on-one coaching, group programs, online courses, and free resources. Stay tuned for our next episode, and I'll talk to you soon.